In 2025, buying a home in the wrong state can cost you over $100,000 more, even if the house looks cheap. Most buyers never realize this mistake until it's too late. Today, I'll show you the 5 cheapest US states to buy a home in 2025, and the one state that secretly destroys your budget. Here's the problem almost no one talks about. When people say a state is cheap, they usually look at only one thing: the home price. But in 2025, that's the fastest way to make a very expensive mistake. Because the real cost of buying a home isn't just the price tag. It's property taxes, insurance, HOA fees, local job markets, and how fast your home can actually gain value. 2 identical homes can look affordable on paper, but one can drain your income every single month, while the other builds wealth quietly. That's why today, we're not guessing. I analyzed affordability, taxes, insurance costs, and long-term value. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly which states make sense and which ones to avoid. Let's start with number 5. State number 5. All right, let's be clear about one thing before we start. When I say cheap, I don't mean falling apart houses in the middle of nowhere. I'm talking about places where normal people can actually buy a home, live their life, and not feel trapped by their mortgage. So number 5 on the list might surprise you. Because it's not flashy, it's not trending on TikTok. But financially, it makes a lot of sense. Ohio. Here's why Ohio still works in 2025. Home prices are well below the national average, especially outside the biggest downtown areas. Property taxes are predictable. Insurance costs are reasonable compared to coastal states. And most importantly, demand is stable. You're not competing with 50 cash buyers. You're not bidding 10% over asking just to win. You actually have room to think. Is Ohio exciting? No. But if your goal is affordability, stability, and not stressing every month about money, that's exactly why it works. And this is a pattern you'll notice throughout this list. The best states in 2025 aren't the loudest ones. They're the ones that quietly make financial sense. Now let's move to number 4. And this one has a very different vibe. State number 4. All right, number 4 is interesting because this is where affordability and opportunity actually meet. Missouri. Now, Missouri doesn't get a lot of attention, but that's kind of the point. In 2025, attention usually means competition, and competition means higher prices. Missouri still offers homes that normal incomes can handle. Cities like Kansas City and parts of St. Louis are a good example. Prices are reasonable, taxes aren't crazy, and you're not paying coastal premiums for everything. Here's what really makes Missouri work, though. Jobs. You've got healthcare, logistics, manufacturing, tech-adjacent roles. It's not a boom state, but it's not collapsing either. That matters more than people realize. Because a cheap home in a weak job market isn't actually cheap. What buyers like here is balance. You can buy without panic, and you can sell later without praying. Missouri isn't about getting rich fast. It's about buying smart and sleeping at night. Now, number 3 is where things start to feel very different. Because this next state is cheap for a reason. And that reason can work in your favor. State number 3. All right, number 3 is where a lot of people start raising an eyebrow. Because this state doesn't usually show up in best places lists. Arkansas. Now, I want to be very honest here. Arkansas is cheap, but not in a bad way. Home prices are low, property taxes are manageable, and your money actually stretches. You're not paying inflated prices just because a place is trendy. What makes Arkansas interesting in 2025 is who's moving there. Remote workers. People leaving expensive states. Families who want space instead of square footage. You get more house, more land, and fewer monthly surprises. But, and this part matters, Arkansas isn't for everyone. Job markets are smaller. You need to be intentional about where you buy. If you're tied to a big city career, this might not work. But if your income is flexible or you work remotely, this is one of the few places where buying a home still feels like a smart move, not a gamble. Now, number 2 is even cheaper. But it comes with a very specific trade-off you need to understand. State number 2. All right, number 2 is one of those states people almost never consider. But financially, it's impossible to ignore. West Virginia. This is one of the cheapest housing markets in the entire country. In many areas, homes are still selling for prices that feel unreal in 2025. We're talking about real houses, not sheds, under $150,000. So what's the catch? Jobs. West Virginia doesn't have big job growth. If you rely on a local job market, this state can feel limiting. But for the right person, that weakness becomes an advantage. Remote workers. People with stable online income. Retirees. If your paycheck isn't tied to the local economy, you get low prices, low competition, and serious buyer leverage. You're not rushing. You're not overbidding. You're negotiating. West Virginia isn't a growth story. It's an affordability story. And that's why it ranks number 2. Now, number 1 is the cheapest of all. But it's also the one people misunderstand the most. State number 1. All right, number 1. This is the cheapest state to buy a home in the U.S. right now. Mississippi. Mississippi has the lowest median home prices in the country. In many areas, homes are still priced far below the national average, even in 2025. Property taxes are low. Competition is limited. And buyers often have more leverage than almost anywhere else. So if affordability is your number 1 priority, Mississippi is hard to beat. But this is also where I need to slow you down. Because cheap doesn't automatically mean smart. Job markets are uneven. Some areas are declining. And insurance costs can be higher depending on location. Mississippi works best if you're extremely intentional. You need to choose the city carefully. You need to understand the local economy. And you need to think long-term. For the right buyer, Mississippi can be an incredible opportunity. For the wrong buyer, it can feel like a trap. Here's the real lesson from this list. The cheapest state isn't always the best state. And the best state isn't the same for everyone. In 2025, smart buying isn't about chasing headlines. It's about understanding your income, your plans, and the trade-offs you're willing to accept. If this breakdown helped you think more clearly about buying a home, subscribe to the channel. I post clear, no-hype videos to help you avoid expensive mistakes in the U.S. housing market. And let me know in the comments, which state surprised you the most? Thanks for watching.